a fresh understanding to me in there that it's in Psalm that says that I shall not die but live to declare the glory of the Lord. And I felt like if I'm not declaring the glory of God, then why am I living? The purpose of living is to give the glory to God, is to reflect the glory of God. So the purpose of why I'm living, the purpose why I'm studying, the purpose why I'm doing what I'm doing is to give God the glory. And if that is your case, if that is what you've settled for, I'm telling you that every other day afternoon I wake up in the midnight to read. I remember those days I do that a lot, and it makes me to understand what I'm actually studying that very period. And there are some people in which they can't do that. If they can't wake up in the night to read, it's not possible. So it's good for you to study your body system to know the time period in which you can take an information and understand it to yourself. So I think that is the summary of what she's actually saying. But let's hear from Nade.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I don't count it as I am the qualified person to speak with you, but I just count it as she said. The first thing she acknowledged was God's grace, which I see has been at work in my life for many years now. I'm completely human, meaning that I have weaknesses. That's one thing I always acknowledge with myself, and it helps me to depend on God always. It helps me to trust in God. It helps me to always ask Him for help. Not that there are people that do not look up to God, and yet they are doing well in studies. You know, there are people that they don't believe in God even, yes, and they can write an exam and pass. Have you seen such cases? Yeah, but the case that I always see in myself is that God has made me for a purpose, and He has made me to please Him, to do what will give Him glory. So even in my studies, He made me understand that everything I'm doing is to bring glory to Him, not to myself. So even if I excel, even if I do something that was good and great, all the glory is to Him and not to myself. So I started, I'm somebody that loves to do multiple things. Like I put myself in many things. You know, for example, I go for outreaches, I go for evangelism, I go for programs, I go for conferences, I go for a lot of things, even while I'm studying. So I don't always believe that my study alone is enough to build me up. So that's why I try to engage in several things. It actually helps to broaden my mind. I'm somebody that I don't like being tied down to one thing, and I cannot express myself the best way I can. So even if you tie me down to bring you out some points from 1 to 10 in an exam situation, I try to bring it my own way. So I discovered that I'm unique. Everyone is unique, and understanding how you approach situations is very important. Just as you said, understanding yourself. I'm somebody that is also slow at learning. So some people, before you say A, they have said A. Some people, before you reach W, they have already even passed it. So those are fast learners, but I am slow. So I wait for you, I ask you a question, what did you say? You said A? Okay. Then I repeat after you. So I learn by practice, and I also learn by audiovisual aid, just as she was talking about. So I find out that I'm not a perfect learner, okay? I learn slowly, and I produce what I learn.
If you ask many people that, why are you not in church on Sunday? They tell you, I was studying. That's what you hear from some people. Or why are you not in Bible study on Friday? So I was actually studying. I have some things to study. Then I always ask myself that, am I the only one that I'm not studying? Then sometimes I have to even conclude that, medical people, medicine is very, very hard. They have a lot of things. But I remember back then when I was in Nigeria, and I was in a particular mission group in which we go for outreaches like this, and we have medical students among us because we do medical outreach, and those people study medicine, they are professional doctors. So when we have in the village, they are the one that will do, just like M&M. So they will do we are at the back end, we are the one praying, you understand? So, and I see those people, they are very zealous and happy that they are doing that, and they will still go back to school. I don't know if you know how medicine is in Nigeria, very, very tough as well as medicine here too. So, and these people, they still more tough, what? Yeah, I know, medicine in Nigeria is very, very tough, but still, you still see these people doing this, and they still manage their time. So, my question is that I think there's a need for us to understand how to manage our time. So I think maybe I'll start from now again, still talk about time management, a timetable, how to bring all these activities together in which nothing is lagging behind, and we actually are also productive in our learning.
Thank you very much. You know, there was something I saw that said, the time that has been, the time that is, and the time to come, is it what is moving, or are we the ones moving? I don't know if you have thought of that. Are we moving, or the time is moving? So it's just a challenge for us to see how could we maximize the time we have, the opportunity we have, the little time that we have at our disposal. Now, we have a lot of things that we're involved in, but when we think about the use of time, it is relative to you according to your needs and activities. And different people have different ways in which they schedule their activities, but there's something called priority. Prioritizing activities is very important. What is it that is most important for me to do at the moment? We're in school because we're studying, so there are other things that could be termed as time wasters. We need to identify them. What is it that wastes or takes away most of my time? They could be less important. Okay, so we need to look at all these things. There is something called urgent and important. What is it that is urgent and important for me? There is something called important, but it's not urgent. Okay, and there is something that is not urgent and is still not important. So, which one will I start first when I'm managing my time? There will be a lot of invitations from different angles. Invitation to do this, you have a task on your email, you have an application to make, you have an assignment to submit. So you need to look at all these things. Which one is more urgent and which one is more important? Some of us focus on the things that are not urgent and not important. For example, you just saw something somewhere, let's just go and chill out. And you went for it and spent 7 hours, and the time had already gone, but you didn't do what was more urgent and what was more important. So sometimes we will need to learn to say no to some things, to be very honest. And what gives us ability to say no is grace, because many things are so tempting and many invitations can keep coming, but there are some things you just have to say no to them and defer something. Some things can be deferred because they are in the category of not urgent, not important, okay? So there are some things that also we just have to schedule them. There's something called to-do list. We need a short paper or in our notepad or in you can use an application. We are in a digital era now. There are different applications that can help you manage time. Okay, you can use those things. You can take notes of those things that you ought to do. You can put in your calendar before the deadline. And it's important to set deadlines. Set a deadline. If a deadline for something is on the 15th, set your reminder days before that 15th, not on the 15th. That's when you begin to rush. So sometimes we need to avoid rushing, because rushing can lead to a lot of things. Though sometimes there are things that come up, we call them extraneous variables. They just come into the situation, but but when you have planned well, you will avoid some crashes and things like that. So sometimes I love to work with deadlines and I try to rush up, but that is not usually the best. We can actually work ahead of time. So there are several time managing techniques that you can adopt. You can use notes, you can use your calendar, you can use different things that can help you manage your time. I don't know what you use.
Related. I mean, prioritizing here, you have the ability to write stuff down and okay, this is more important to me, this is what I need to do by tomorrow stuff. In as much as you have to prioritize, I think a major factor as well is self-discipline. Because if you don't discipline yourself, you wouldn't actually achieve those things. And I'm talking from experience because I struggle with procrastination and I actually still do struggle with it to an extent. But yeah, it's really important to discipline yourself and like, okay, I need to get this done and it's going to happen right now. So yeah.
What works for her is that maybe when the exam is few days, she starts reading. Although for me, I can never do that. I tried that last semester and it was hell. Even though I didn't fail because I have my 5, but I passed through hell. I passed through hell. I will not lie because it's actually changed that I want you to discuss about. I don't know if you can start with Gerard. Okay.
So question is what to do prior to an exam?
Yeah.
To exam period?
Exam period. Exam is 2 weeks time or 1 week time. So what's as a student, what are you supposed to be doing at that particular period?
I mean, given the way that our school system is, prior to exam period, there usually like a couple of SCTs, and so I want to believe that even before the exam starts proper, students should be in like study mode because we usually have, I mean for medical students anyway, we usually have a lot of SCTs like towards the end of the semester, so people are already studying and preparing for those ones, I believe. But prior to exam period, why did you study? Because if you don't study, I'm sorry, I don't know what's gonna happen. But I honestly, I remind myself of the reason why I'm in this school, and I know that the amount of school fees my father is paying, I don't want him to pay taking. Like, so like that is one motivation for me, that my parents are actually paying my school, is giving their all for me, and this is the best way I can say thank you to them, like by putting in my best effort and being diligent and studying well for the exam. Another thing that I would suggest is be thoughtful, or surround yourself with people who are like-minded, people who want to excel like you do. I remember when I was preparing for my anatomy finals, this was one of the semesters I went to the library, I'll never forget, because it was pretty deep. Anatomy, oh my god. But yeah, it was myself and Chioma, she's no longer here, Elizabeth and Fiona. No, she's my Vietnamese friend. But it was the 4 of us, and we would go after like the school day, after our classes, we would meet up in the library and we would study. From then, I remember we used to be in the library, like we'd actually pack food for the day and come to the library and buy snacks from my school. And we would be in the library when the library is open for like till 12 a.m. and we'll be there until they are closing the library. Like we used to close the library with them, when they are saying, okay, it's time to go, pack up your things and going. I remember I'll have to use the tram at past 11 p.m. to go home, like from school. So I surrounded myself with these people who wanted to achieve the same thing as I did, who wanted to do well in their exams, and I think that's really important, that you're not just with anybody, should be with people who are like-minded, like you who want to study and excel as well. Yeah, and it's really important, guys. If you need help, there is no use in keeping your problem to yourself, because there's a popular saying, a problem shared is what half solved. If you have a problem, please don't be scared or shy or afraid to ask for help. I'm sure that there's going to be someone who is willing to help you out of that situation. I remember like when I failed an exam. That was one of the worst days of my life. Actually, I did not fail. I got a grade I was not happy with. It really pissed me off. But yeah, I spoke to my dad that I really didn't like what happened. Like, I was really mad at myself. And he said, okay, so what can you do? What are you going to do next? I'm like, I'll figure it out. And I asked around, my friends, like, oh, how did you find this exam? And what do you think I should, study and stuff like that. And they shared with me, like, maybe this is what you should look out for, and this is probably more important and stuff like that. And honestly, that's one of the ways that I've read while I was in this school. I always, before an exam, most times I go to like Facebook, my Facebook page, and I would see people that share their experiences about exams, and I always like to read about this kind of stuff because I want to know, oh, what's this examiner interested in, like what kind of questions they ask and stuff like that. So I want to get myself like acquainted with the examiners in a sense, or to know what I should expect. So I think that
lessons that we want you to know. Not that failure cannot come, but not all failures are from God. Not that all failures are something which God actually wants you to have. There are some things in which you need to do. You need to sit down and do as a child of God and as a student. Okay, so let me give
some
Nani.
of my failures. I have failed several times. First was how I left medicine. My sister was sick in the hospital and I needed to take care of her. She requested that I should be the one to take care of her in the hospital, and I didn't know why, but I just decided to. So I took time. That was when second MBBS was coming, and I didn't have time to study. So there was a factor associated with the failure, but it was principally the fact that I had a role to care for her. So I sleep in the hospital almost every day, every time, things like that. But I still saw that God was working that for a purpose. So there is a purpose even behind your failure. There is a purpose that you have failed. God is still planning something to prepare you. It's a preparatory process for you to be better and to do something and to achieve something. So eventually I had to change my department because I didn't pass the MBBS exam. But while I was waiting for direction. That was when I was given nursing to study, and I saw that the role I was playing with my sister was more of a nursing care. And that was how I found out that my passion was to be a nurse, and I became a nurse. So, and God told me something in first year medical school. God said that I will make you the best in your department, but I didn't know how. I just failed from medical school. How could that be possible? So I if there's anything like cry, if there's anything like pain, and but eventually I didn't know that that was what God wanted to do for me in nursing, and He glorified Himself, and that was what He did. So there are times that I write an exam, I don't get my best grade. As David said, if you don't play your role well, or you misappropriate your priorities and you do things that you ought not to do in preparation for an exam, you will not get the best grade. but that doesn't mean that is what God desires for us. Okay? Now, there is something called fear when exam is approaching. Exam is next week, exam is tomorrow, so we begin to develop some anxiety. It's normal. Is there anybody that doesn't experience anxiety? But there is a level of fear that comes that you need to control. Okay? There is no need for us to fear anything. There is no need for us to be afraid. Anxiety is meant to prepare us, but there is a healthy level of anxiety that ought to prepare us for an exam. And it should not make you not to do anything. The healthy level of anxiety is to make you read and to study. Because you are thinking of that an exam is coming. Okay? Now, another thing is, there is something about discussing things that you have learned or reproducing what you have learned. It's very important. When you learn something, don't just assume you have learned it and just go to an exam. Try your best to see how you can reproduce it before that exam. Set questions for yourself also, if you can, because there are some exams or there are some courses that you may not find, past questions. So in that case, you set questions for yourself. If you are the person that knows how to jot, try to jot them down. Because the more you write something, the more it sticks somehow. So share with others. Oh, can we discuss this topic with you? Things like that. If you have the opportunity to do that before an exams, it will be very good. There are a lot of useful tips, but let me just leave that aside. With respect to your response to exam failure, it's important to note that you yourself, you are not a failure, but that God has made you to overcome challenges and obstacles, and then you are set for a purpose. You are set to fulfill a purpose. That you have failed and remained on the ground, or you are falling and remained on the ground, is where the problem is. But when you rise up and pick up the challenge, there is always grace for us to keep doing well. And never assume that you have achieved or that you have even succeeded, even if you have. Put that behind you. So there is something that Paul always says, that one thing I do, I forget what? The past. And I look forward. So even if he has achieved something, he still pushes it as an ash. One thing that kills our fire is when we gather ashes together. Past achievements are called ashes. So they are ashes. So let's keep packing them out of the fire, because the more ashes are gathered, the more it kills the fire, and you cannot move forward. You cannot, pursue what is high.
I don't, because I have an exam or something, I will now say, okay, God, stay one side. Let me focus on my exam. No. But God is actually number one on my priority list, and that's, I guess, how I was able to manage it. But if you want to go into the details, I don't know what to say, but timetables, schedules. Actually, no, I don't do that.
But they actually do.
I've tried. And it didn't work, so I can't really advise you. I mean, but if it works for you, of course, but for me, I find it difficult to keep timetables and what, really. I find it difficult to keep timetables and schedules. But if it works for you, perfect. But like I said, priority. If I have to be in church, if I have to lead choir, if I have to do choir rehearsal, I'm definitely going to be there. Like, I don't care if I have an exam on Monday. I've had the rest of the week. I have after church on Sunday. I have after the rehearsal to study for the exam. So if I have a responsibility to God, to the church, I will do that no matter what.